If you are watching the news right now and you are feeling overwhelmed by all of the constant headlines and developments and what is happening and federal government changes over here and ICE raids over here and plane crashes over there, and you are feeling so overwhelmed, first of all, know that you are not alone. And second of all, know that that is exactly what this administration is trying to get you to feel.
Yeah, and AOC is 100% right there. It's both fairly obvious, I think, that that's what they want us to feel. It's also, when you look at the things people in this administration are saying, it's their stated goal. And they have a particular tactic that they've used. You've probably noticed it, but AOC breaks it down in the second clip.
What authoritarian regimes try to do is that they often try to, what is known as flood the zone, do so much at once, or try to do so much at once that it gets carried in the news that you feel overwhelmed and paralyzed. And it's important for you to understand that the paralysis and shock that you feel right now is the point. They are trying to induce a state of passivity among the general public.
And that is obviously from the very beginning, that's one of the things we're trying to fight against. And we're also trying to fight against kind of something that Steve Bannon makes clear. So he said this: the opposition party is the media, and the media can only, because they're dumb and they're lazy, they can only focus on one thing at a time. So if you pay attention to TDR, you know that we try to focus on as many things as possible. So much so that many of us here working the show, many of you might well lose our minds, but we are trying to do that. And he in particular says we have to flood the zone. He says it. And that's what they're doing. Like, if we could start with graphic 5, just think about the stuff they've done just in the last like 3 or 4 days. They're saying the US is gonna ethnically cleanse Gaza and turn it into like a massive hotel or something. They put the entire USAID staff on leave. They are literally already shipping migrants to Guantanamo Bay. They've banned transgender athletes from women's sports. And I know what you're thinking, all of these things will make groceries way more affordable. And I'll grant you that, but it's also a lot to process in a single week. It's a lot. And so I think everybody needs to both know that that's what they're trying to do. I think that that makes it easier to resist, but also have your little outlets, have things that help to sustain you. I write my little fantasy and sci-fi stories. I watch WWE. I play with my daughter. These are the things that let me wake up each day and do it again, because they want us to tap out. And with that, so all the more reason we can't give it to them. Right? What do you think about this?
And also, we need to say stuff over and over again. Like, it's no coincidence that the people on the right are telling us the problem with what we're doing is the same thing over and over again, saying the same message over and over again. What do I mean by that? They say things like, you shouldn't overreact to every single story out there about Trump. Well, if that narrative takes hold, that we're overreacting to everything that Trump does, and saying it's horrible, that opens up the possibility and actually incentivizes Trump to do a bunch of bad stuff all at the same time, all of which is horrible.
Yeah.
Because if the world believes that we're just overreacting to everything, well, he has no cause to, like, it's not that we're crying wolf, it's just he's releasing a lot of damn wolves. That's what's happening, and he's incentivized to do so. If the media environment and all the social media people out there and all of his growing fan base can convince us that it's all nonsense that we're saying, even though it's real. And the other thing is, they're always like, you guys are always calling us fascists. Well, first of all the stuff you're doing is like super fashy, dude. Yeah. Like, it's super duper fashy. You have a billionaire in charge of one of the biggest social media sites out there, and certainly the fastest moving one, and the one that a lot of people looked at to find out what was happening right now and what are the analyses out there and what do people I genuinely agree with say about it. They've completely changed that. They've got all of the media kowtowing to them, bending the knee and all that stuff. And meanwhile, while they're telling us not to call them fascists, at every turn they call around and call us communist pedophiles. Mm-hmm. And the difference is they're doing fashy stuff Kamala Harris was not a communist Marxist psychopath, nor was she a pedophile, but that doesn't stop them from saying the inaccurate thing. So we need to repeat this stuff as much as possible. And we need to convince the folks that are even remotely seen as neutral arbiters of this that we're actually right about that. And I would argue like the insight that I'm laying out might be more interesting, fun, compelling, engaging, annoying, all the stuff that has a life on the internet than the crap that they're just doing over and over again. That itself should get boring to the masses. Oh my God, every time we call them a fascist for doing a Hitlerian thing, they call us communists even though we're not doing anything remotely close to it. I just think we need to have the discipline and not get down on it, because even though we might get bored with the messages that we say over and over again, we feel like we're going crazy. Do what John says, go work on something outside of this, but then come back to the fight and repeat it over and over again, because that's what they did. They poured billions of dollars into a right-wing media and international social media ecosystem so that they can get a lot of the stuff we take for granted is just like, that's just how it is. They did that by repeating it over and over again, not by having better ideas.
When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?